Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to BestKeptPlans. Today's video is going to be a March 2024 budget recap using the printable version of the Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. If you're interested in seeing that, please stick around. Here we are in the March monthly spread in my Budget by Paycheck workbook, and as you can see, everything has been checked off. All of my bills have been paid. All of the savings challenges I'm contributing to have been contributed to, and we're going to cut forward to the closeout pages for March, starting with the debt payment plan. So right at the top, I have my two sources of debt listed. For me, that is Sikorsky, which is my car loan. I have a little over $13,000 left. My minimum payment is about $450 a month. And then I have my student loans through Nelnet, about $36,500, and my monthly payment is close to $700, but because my employer is contributing a little over $300 a month towards my student loans, I generally make a payment of $400. Now, as I just mentioned, my employer usually makes a payment for me, and right at the end of this month, I realized that I hadn't seen that process, and I logged into the website to check, and it said that I needed to upload more documentation on my loans, so a March payment never went through. I did have this happen to me one other time, and once they got the paperwork and processed it, I ended up getting like 2 payments during the same month. So I'm anticipating that's what's going to happen in April. So the only extra loan payment that I made in the month of March was to my car loan for $300. So total, I put $1,156.85 towards my student loans, or I'm sorry, towards my debt, I should say. Last month, my debt total was a little over $50,000, and this month we're at about $49,500. That was a progress of almost $700, and overall, we're at a progress of over $21,000 or 30%. I always comment on the fact that this starting amount here is from June 2022 when I purchased my car. I did definitely have more debt at one point because by this point I'd probably already paid off $10,000 to $15,000 of my student loans. If we flip over, we're going to focus on my monthly net worth tracker. I do keep my assets to myself in terms of like the specifics, but my total assets for March equaled to $349,408.07. And then of course my liabilities we talked about on the last page, $49,549.06. And if we bring this all down to the bottom, my assets minus my liabilities gives me my net worth, which is $299,859.01. That is an increase in my net worth of about $11,500 since last month, or 4%. So let's talk about the monthly budget category breakdown. This is my favorite sheet in the closeout sheets of the Budget by Paycheck workbook, and I'm actually going to bring it down a little bit just so that the focus doesn't get obscured. We're going to start out with talking about my total monthly inflow. That is the total of all the money that you kind of had coming in during the month. So that's a combo of my starting balance, which is money that I brought from February into March, which was $1,493.09. Earned income, which for me is just my full-time job, though I did work a few overtime shifts in the month of March. So this is more than what I normally would have gotten paid for my full-time job in a month, just because those overtime shifts were included in my regular paychecks. Other income, $920.38. A lot of this was like being reimbursed for things that I had purchased and stuff like that. I had a couple of returns, and then savings used. I used a little over $1,500 of savings. So total, I had an inflow of $10,742.87. Now, if we focus on my budget categories, you're going to see that there is a lot of red in the difference column. I definitely spent more in a few different categories than usual, and some of them were a bit surprising for me, like groceries. I always budget $400. I spent over $500, so that's not my usual. I usually underspend in groceries, but I guess it was just a heavy grocery month. Eating out, especially in the last few months, I have not done a lot of eating out, but March is actually my birthday month, so I definitely went out a few times. And with everything that's been going on with me and my GI system, and figuring out that the root of my problems is actually my gallbladder, which I'm having out on April 1st. I think you all are going to be seeing this video after that. I've become more comfortable with eating out again, in the sense that I know what to eat and what not to eat. So I did spend over $200 on eating out this month, so I was over budget, but considering how under budget I've been the last several months, I'm totally okay with that. Gas, I spent more than usual too. I spent $112. That was under budget, but still more than I find that I usually spend. And then miscellaneous, I was way under budget, spending only $96. Miscellaneous bills, I definitely spent a lot, almost $1,000, but that's way under compared to what it's been the last few months. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. Savings, I was over budget by over $800. Utilities was a little bit over, and that's because my cell phone bill did go up about $6, but then also my home phone internet cable went up. I did call them and complain, and they readjusted my bill. It is still higher than it was before, but it's lower than what they were trying to charge me. So I think this is going to drop maybe a few more dollars next month, but I think my new amount is going to be more like 360 versus like the 340 something it was before. Personal, under budget, I only spent about $40. I don't know where this 70 came from. I've just been copying it over month to month. I think I need to reevaluate that. Housing is just my rent, which I had was even at. Giving, I was even at. Debt, I was over, but only by a few dollars, and I'm totally fine with that. And then I did spend out of several different sinking funds that I don't have a budgeted amount for. Last thing that I include in here is my April starting balance. So if I don't include my April starting balance, this is not going to add up to equal my inflow. That's the whole point. With the Budget by Paycheck Workbook, we want to have a zero-based budget, meaning every dollar going in has an equal amount going out. So my April starting balance, the money that I rolled over from March into April, is $1,324.93. And if I add everything together, it did equal $10,742.87, which does equal my inflow. So we were off by $0, which always makes me very, very happy. Next, we have the monthly debt and savings breakdown. Starting with debt, my inflow versus what I paid off equaled 10.8% of my inflow for the month. In terms of where that money went, I did actually have more money go to my car loan this month, because I made that extra debt payment to my car loan, and since my employer's payment to my student loans didn't process in the month, that definitely ate into what was contributed to my student loan. So about 65% towards car and 35% towards student loan. In terms of savings, we do break things down by income, not inflow. So income is everything on the opposite page except for savings used, right? Because we don't want to factor in savings used when trying to come up with what percentage of our income went towards savings. So my actual income was $9,240.87. We saved over $3,000, so that was 42% of my income. And the way that broke down, I had a really high percentage going towards sinking funds, and that's because in the month of March, I started contributing a lot more towards my travel sinking fund for an upcoming trip that I am taking in August. I'm going to Toronto. I'm very excited about it. I've already had some people give me some recommendations. I'm so thankful for them, and keep them coming if you've been to Toronto or you live in Toronto or around the area. The next highest for me was my house savings right down here. I did not put a lot towards house savings this month. That just wasn't the priority. Again, I have a pretty solid amount for a down payment on a home. It's about $65,000 at this point. And so I feel comfortable with that amount. Of course, I want to keep contributing to that because it's not just the down payment, it's furniture, it's, anything that has to be done to the house before you actually move in, like if there needs to be new floors put in or painting or anything like that. But right now, the priority has been my debt and my sinking funds. So the second highest was house. And then from there, it's just basically my emergency fund and some savings challenges. The last thing that we're going to look at for this March budget recap is the monthly spending comparison. Now, last month was a 3-paycheck month for me, so my inflow was really high. I also used a ton of savings, so that made my inflow really high. So for this month, my inflow was down over $7,500 from the month of February, which means that we should see a lot of green on here. And if we take sinking funds out of it, there is more green than red. So I'm going to take that as a win. But as I said, I definitely spent more in the month of March on groceries and eating out, which is uncommon for me, but I'm okay with it. I definitely spent a lot more in gas, and I think this is part of why. I only got gas once in the month of February, and I actually ended up getting gas on March 1st. So I think that's why this was so low and this was so high. In terms of miscellaneous, I didn't spend much in the month of February, but I was able to minimize that. Spent a heck of a lot less on miscellaneous bills. I saved less, but again, that makes sense because my inflow was so much lower. Everything else like utilities, personal, that was all similar. The reason why housing was $1,200 was because I didn't put anything towards housing in January. Both came out in February for February and March. And then debt, I definitely put less towards debt, but that a big part of that is because of that payment from my employer. And then obviously with my sinking funds, for most of them, I spent, the ones I contributed to this month, I spent more than last month because last month I didn't spend from several of the categories. And that's pretty much it. The only thing that I wanted to comment on was my $5 challenge. So let's look at my $5 challenge tracker here. This tracker is available in my Etsy shop, which is always linked down below in the description box. I also have a corresponding envelope here. I have been doing my $5 challenge for several years now. I want to say I started in 2021. I think that's right, but I could honestly be wrong. And I have always been putting the fives into this clear acrylic container. I purchased this off Amazon. It is listed in my Amazon favorites, which is always linked down below in the description box. That is an affiliate link, but it's no additional cost to you. On my Amazon favorites, I do have a budgeting supplies category, and this is listed in there. So this is years worth of $5 bills. And my goal is to basically keep filling it until I cannot fit a single extra bill in here, because you have to break this open to get to the money. So I want to fill this as much as possible. And then once I can't fit any more fives, I will break it open. So I have all of the fives that I saved in the month of March. There wasn't too many actually. So $5, $10, $15, $20, $25. And we are going to put those into this container. I have been trying to do this kind of strategically so that the cash all fits. So I'm going to try to get them on the side over here. Oh yeah, I think this is going to work out good. Okay, there we go. Perfect. And if I kind of do this, it'll usually, there we are. Perfect. So those $5 bills are in there. And that's going to be it for my March 2024 budget recap. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.